Today on NLPS Ed Talks, we're talking with Nancy Ketchen. She's our absence dispatch coordinator here in the district. That's not the reason why we have her on the show today. We're actually going to be talking to her about what she does outside of the district, and it all has to do with frogs. Catch your attention yet? Stay tuned. This is NLPS Ed Talks, a podcast brought to you by Nanaimo Ladysmith Public Schools. I'm Dale Burgos, the Executive Director of Communications, and I'll be sharing conversations with students, staff, and friends of the district. We'll learn, we'll laugh, we may cry, but most importantly, we'll share the unique stories of individuals that work and play in our school system. Nanaimo Ladysmith Public Schools is one of many school districts in British Columbia, Canada, and is centrally located in one of the most beautiful places in the world, Vancouver Island. Thanks for joining us. Welcome, Nancy, to NLPS Ed Talks. I'm very happy to have you here today. This is exciting. This is something new that we've been doing now for a few weeks. You're number 6 on our podcast on NLPS Ed Talks, and I really needed to get you in here. Now, a little bit about what you do, and we'll get to that in just a little bit, is very visual, but we need to talk about this. Okay, so first off, welcome, Nancy Ketchen.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dale.
Very excited to have you here. So, Nancy, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do here in the district?
I've been with the district 4 years now. Started out as a temp secretary, and 2 years ago I got the job as absence dispatch coordinator. So I'm responsible for overseeing the ADS system.
Yes.
And making sure that we've got teachers in the classrooms and support staff every day.
So you're the one when somebody's sick, a teacher or an EA, and they call into the system or they put it into the system saying they can't make it.
Yeah.
It goes to you. You're the person that makes sure that it gets filled.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, so a little background maybe. Do you know how many teachers we have out there? How many EAs? Do you know the numbers?
I don't know. I mean, we're looking at about 174, 180, I think, TTOCs.
Wow.
But EAs, I'm not sure of.
Not much. Okay, yeah. That's right. And last count around, I think for staff-wise here in the district, I was told around the 2,000 mark is where we're at for the people working in the district. Right. Yeah. So these are not the TOCs or TTOCs. Yeah. Okay. Well, and then 4 years. What did you do before the 4 years?
Worked nonprofit.
Hey, great.
For about 10 years, and I worked in the forest industry for about 20.
Okay. Nonprofit. Who was that with?
United Way.
Hey, fantastic. So what did you do with United Way?
Started out as admin assistant and ended up acting executive director and resource development coordinator for all the fundraising.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
And then before that, forestry. So how was that transition? What did you do in forestry, and how did you transition to United Way?
I worked in HR.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, actually out at Harmac for 17 years, and then worked for Western Forest Products. And then started the little project that I have going here. I've been very fortunate to have got a big area of where I've worked, and it's been I've been very fortunate. Well,
and we're fortunate to have you here because the job that you have in the district right now is very important. We have to make sure that those positions are filled every day, and it is nice to have you. So let's get right into it now. You brought something in here, and I thought it was pickles. I thought you were bringing me pickles. I thought, oh wow, we're going to do a podcast. You brought me some pickles. That's awesome. But they're not pickles. They're actually moving around right now in this jar, and I'm going to take some video and I'm going to share that online because we're talking about it, but it's really nice to actually see it. Now, Nancy, what is in this jar? What am I looking at right now?
You're looking at American Bullfrog tadpoles at different stages of their development. It takes them about 3 years to actually hatch out into a frog.
3 years.
To morph out, yeah.
That seems like a long time. Is that a long time for, not for, I guess, an American bullfrog, but just a frog in general? Is that a longer period?
Yeah. The frogs that we have here, they usually do it, they hatch out in the spring and then they become frogs in the summer.
Okay.
These are an introduced species.
Okay.
Okay, and I think back when I think they have them down in Louisiana.
So they're not native to the island?
They're not native to BC. The only place they're native to is Ontario.
That's what you meant by introduced.
Yeah.
So some people brought this here and just dumped them.
Well, no, they didn't dump them.
How does that work?
They didn't dump them. These are the frogs that they use for frog legs.
Oh.
Okay, so they were brought into the island about 60 years ago.
Okay.
And they opened up 3 farms that we know of. One was in Ladysmith. No, one was in Victoria. One was in Yellow Point, and another one in Parksville. And they didn't have the market for them.
Okay.
And back then, we weren't aware of what happens when you introduce something that's not supposed to be here.
No kidding.
And they let them go.
And they let them go. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and this is the reason why I have you here, because we have, like I said, about 2,000 staff employees rather here in the district. Everyone has their own stories. You work in the HR department during the day, but you do this awesome job as well, and so that's why I wanted to have you here. When we first started chatting about it, you talked about the frogs and so on and so forth, and you are one of the people that make up the many people here in the district, and I want to hear these stories. So before we go a little further, let's get a little bit of background. So what is it that you do? Do you have an official title for what you do here, and why we have these American Bullfrogs?
Well, I don't have a PhD.
Okay.
But I do have a PFC, which is professional frog catcher.
Nice.
But
I like that.
Yeah, I started this probably about 17 years ago with my youngest, and we were hearing about all these big frogs in the Yellow Point area.
Okay.
So him and I jumped in the car one day, and we decided we were going to go out at night and look. And we found them, in the middle of the road, these huge frogs. And the first time we went, we put them in ice cream buckets, and we were so excited. He was 10.
Okay.
So we brought them home, and they're so strong that they blew the lids off the ice cream buckets when we had them on the table, and then we were catching frogs in the living room because they were jumping all over the place.
Oh, no. These are full size already?
Full size.
Okay.
And the biggest one I've seen is about 8 inches nose to butt.
18 inches?
8 inches.
Oh, 8 inches. Sorry, I'm not hearing things properly, but
just
8
the
inches.
body.
Okay.
So we developed a market for them.
Wow.
We got a hold of VIU,
Okay.
and we said, if we can catch these frogs and you can use them in your bilab because they're not supposed to be here,
Right.
would you buy them from us?
Mm-hmm.
So we started that. We started going out and catching frogs.
That's how it started.
Yeah, and we had to catch, I think the first year, about 220.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so is that something that VIU requested that they needed? Okay.
They needed them for the bilabs, and we had to we caught them, and then and they're great to catch, the big frogs.
Okay.
It was very competitive. We fly fish for them, and we get them out of the ponds.
Fly fish.
Yeah. Because they'll attack anything that moves.
Really?
Yeah, they eat baby ducks. They're hungry.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, the big ones will eat baby ducks. Anything from a robin down in size, they'll eat. They'll eat snakes. They even eat each other.
So you're fly fishing for these. You just you throw something in the water and you just hook them like you normally would with any fish.
Yeah,
is that what you use?
We used a lure.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
A barbless hook, so it doesn't, because they're soft tissue. We didn't want to rip their faces off or their in the mouth, because it's not their fault that they're here.
Right.
And then we'd bring them home, and we'd sex them.
Okay.
And then I would put them in the freezer, because
okay.
they hibernate in the winter anyway.
Right.
So we would slow them down that way, because you can't start putting them into bags.
Right.
When they're moving, because that's ridiculous. So we would put them in the freezer for about an hour.
Okay.
And then take them out, and then pack them in a plastic bag.
Right.
And then put them back in the freezer, and they would die in the freezer. They just wouldn't wake up. And
Okay.
that was, at that time, that was the most humane way to do it.
Okay.
So we did that for about 5 years.
Wow.
And then they wanted us to start euthanizing them. I'm using a chemical, and I just wouldn't get into it. I didn't want to have any chemicals on the property.
Okay.
And the freezing, in my opinion, and from a lot of other people, it was good to do it that way.
Oh, so that's a common practice. So,
Yeah.
I mean, let's just say somewhere else in the world, they're doing the same process. I mean, it could
Possibly,
be common.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's
Nice.
the most inhumane way of doing it.
Right.
Because they slow down anyway. When they get cold, they start their amphibian. They start to slow down.
Right.
So we did that, and then I picked up another market for the tadpoles. So
Okay.
I've got 3 universities across Canada that want them, and they're using them for medical research.
Which universities are those?
University of Calgary,
Okay.
University of Laval, Quebec,
Okay.
and the University of Ottawa.
Wow. So they go quite far.
And they go live. The tadpoles go live.
They go live.
Yeah.
So you send them in. How do you transport those?
Okay, so I have a cardboard box that's insulated, and I get plastic bags, and I put about 25 in a bag, and fill it full of oxygen, and it's like a tropical fish when you go to the fish store.
Right.
Okay, so, and then I pack them in there, and we go to the airport. I have to pre-book, of course, and then I have to go through screening with them.
Oh, okay.
And they have to be taken out of the box, and they have to screen the box.
Oh boy.
And then we have to get the fastest flight. They seem to go about 20. They'll go at least 24 hours in the plastic bag.
Okay.
It depends on the development of them.
Right.
If they've got legs, they're really stressed
Yes.
right now because they're trying to become frogs.
Okay,
Okay.
gotcha.
The ones that don't have legs, they survive very, very easily. So I cool them and keep them, because the cooler the water is, the less oxygen they use.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So I could put cold packs in the boxes,
Good.
and but not everyone can do this. I have a permit.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
So
have a permit through the Ministry.
Through the Ministry
of Environment. Yeah.
okay, that makes sense, right? Because you've probably got to follow some rules, right? There's some guidelines, right?
Yeah, there is.
Okay. And are there other people that do this here on the island?
No.
Okay.
No, and I think I was probably, I'm the resident expert
Okay.
on it. I mean, I've done a lot of research on it, and my son and I, we've been everywhere catching frogs and trying to get a different market. Of course, he's not really involved anymore because he's all grown up.
Right. Left it for you.
They
Yeah.
left it for me.
Oh boy.
I'm trying to recruit one of my grandsons.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. But it's been really fun.
Well,
It's
and
been a fun
it
experience.
sounds like you weren't even looking for it, but it was something. I mean, it sounded like you like to get out there and catch frogs to begin with, and you sort of fell into this, right?
Yeah, and when I started at the United Way, I was only working part-time,
Okay.
and I got a hold of the schools at that time, sent a thing out to all the secretaries and said, does anyone want to know about Bullfrog Awareness? And I developed a program for the schools.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and I loved it. I went into all the classrooms
Yeah.
and took tadpoles, small frogs, and then I would hide the big ones under the table so they wouldn't know. And we go through identification on them, the do's and don'ts, and because kids are the worst ones for moving them.
Right.
I mean, they do travel.
Yes.
Not by bus, of course, but they do travel.
Right. Yeah.
So I went into the classroom, and I think I spoke to about 2,000 kids.
Wow.
I did this in the early 90s, and
Okay.
I loved it.
Right.
But it all depended whether or not I could get these. Depended on the product.
Yeah.
So then I got on full time at the United Way, and that sort of went to the wayside. I did work at the hatchery
Okay.
a little bit, and I remember being there one day, and we were working on the dissection table with the chum salmon, and this little boy comes up to me and he says, "Aren't you the frog lady?"
Wow.
And I went, "I am, but today I'm the fish lady." So I've gone from being a 4-H chicken lady
Okay. Yeah.
to the frog lady.
I love it.
Yeah, so it's been really great. I really enjoy it. A lot of people are very squeamish with them, but it doesn't bother me. I'm a outdoor person anyway.
Right. Exactly.
I'm a real naturalist, so I spend a lot of time out in the ocean, out in the parks and that.
Right, exactly. And let me ask again. So you were mentioning that you do the fly fishing. So is that both for the tadpoles
No.
and for the bullfrogs?
No,
or
these-
like the full. Okay.
Yeah, what happens is the big ones,
Yes.
you have to fly fish for. And,
Okay.
and the reason for that is that we tried different methods.
Okay.
We tried taking a net in and catching them because they're just sitting on the outside of the shore.
Okay.
And we would, one would be a spotter, and then, there's one over here. But
Yeah.
it interrupted, it was like a huge big predator coming into the pond.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And if we worked that pond for about 2 days, on the third day, I swear they knew my car. And they would just jump into the water, and they wouldn't come to shore anymore. So,
Wow.
so we started going with the fishing side of it,
Okay.
which was very successful.
Okay.
But the tadpoles, they'll go. I use minnow traps for them.
Okay.
These ones here, I just caught with a net, just a regular dip net,
Wow.
because there's so many of them. One female will spawn out 20,000 eggs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So they could very well be that invasive species. That
They are an
people talk.
invasive species.
220 to VIU, right?
Yep.
Or that was the order. Is that?
Yeah.
Is there a maximum amount that you are allowed to catch for both the tadpole species and
No.
the full size? Okay.
No, I have tanks that I got from the hatchery.
Okay.
So they house the tadpoles until I get my order.
Okay.
I wish I could say I could make a living out of it, but I am working full time, so
Yes,
enough
you
said
are.
on that side.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, but it's just something different, and it's unique. I would love to go back into the schools again and do programs.
Unique is right. And I mean, yeah, it would be great to get you in the schools.
Yeah.
I mean, you're here now in the district.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can't take you away from your day job, but
No.
maybe there's something that can be worked out maybe in the afternoons after you're all done, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a fantastic idea. So whereabouts? I mean, I haven't seen any wherever I go, but there must be certain areas where you find a lot of these, or are they everywhere?
Well, we're not seeing the big frogs that much anymore.
Okay.
And I don't know why. I would love to say it's because of all the work that my son and I have done,
Right.
but I don't think so.
Okay.
They didn't have a natural predator when they came here.
Okay.
But we are finding now that the blue herons are going in there and they're eating the tadpoles.
Really?
So there are things that are eating them. I had an owl take one out of my yard when I had it in one of my kids' swimming pools.
Wow.
And it came in at night, and they're really noisy. Like it sounded like a baby being dragged past the window. It was screaming. The frog was.
No. Knew exactly what was happening.
It was new exactly, yeah, and we didn't find it. So, yeah, but these ones are from Yellow Point.
Okay. Yep.
That seems to be a pretty good area for them. My son and I, Neil, we used to go to all the golf courses,
Oh.
and they were used to people.
Oh.
So we could get really close to them.
Just walk right up to him.
Yeah, we just have to watch out for the golf balls, of course. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Not so dangerous. The frogs aren't so dangerous. It's the golf balls.
But they are. They're not good for the environment because they are introduced. They don't have any real natural predators, and they're very
Right.
prolific. You know, as
Yes.
I say, 20,000 eggs, one female will spawn out.
That is
And these ones
unbelievable.
these tadpoles that we have here are really big.
I'm looking at them right now. I mean, these are, you took one out of the jar, and we'll definitely share a little bit of that video later on. But I'm surprised. I mean, I know how big bullfrogs are.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen tadpoles before, but obviously not the American bullfrog version.
Yeah.
And they're these tiny little things, right? And even when they become full size, they're not that big. I thought this was fish when you first brought it in. I mean, they're actually quite large. Do you go all over the island for them, or do you normally stick around the?
I don't need to
one area?
anymore. I mean, the three universities they're taking tadpoles.
Okay.
Okay, the University
Right.
of Ottawa, they're looking at live frogs. Probably, I did send them some last summer. They're
Mm-hmm.
looking at more this summer coming up.
Okay.
So I don't have a huge market like I did with VIU.
Okay. Right.
So the tadpoles are pretty easy. If I can't find any in Yellow Point, I can go down to Quesnel Lake.
Okay.
And I've got a friend down there that's got property on the lake, and I set my minnow traps, and then I just go down every day and clean them out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it safe to assume, though, that we can find these all over the island?
Yep, they're all the way up past Campbell River now.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I mean, they're easy. And what happens is kids will do exactly this. What I've done, they'll put them
yes.
in a bucket, then they'll go visit, Auntie Jane in Campbell River, and Auntie
Right.
Jane will say, just let them go, get them out of my house.
Right.
They let them go, and now we've started the cycle somewhere
So
else.
it's Auntie Jane's fault then
It's
up in Campbell. Yeah,
it
okay.
probably is,
Might have to give
yeah.
her a call.
But it's very interesting in August and September because you find the little frogs on the road in Yellow Point.
Oh, okay.
And I know Green Lake in North Nanaimo, they
Mhm.
were having problems with them, but the rain triggers them. It's called colonization.
Okay.
So the rain triggers their brain to say, we have to go find another water course
Okay.
and to survive. And even though they could be in a huge lake, they migrate.
Okay.
So they start going across the roads looking for another, and they're successful in doing it. I mean, they're in all ponds.
Right, exactly. Are they dangerous in any way to humans at all? Like,
Are they poisonous?
poisonous? Yeah. No, nothing like that. So they pretty much just mind their own business. It's okay if we play around with them, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No poison.
Okay, and so you've mentioned, who you supply with. So, I mean, like, really, what's your next steps? I mean, like you said, you do this on the side, but it sounds as if this can just continue on for years and years, being that they spawn so many.
Well, the universities like them because of their size.
Ah, okay.
We grow them big in BC.
Yep.
And they're a lot healthier than the ones that they import in from the States.
Okay.
Because I'm their catcher in Canada.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Yeah. I'm the
Okay.
only one that supplies these universities with it.
The official one, right
I'm the
here, sitting
official
at the
one.
table. I love it.
That's right.
Now, and they want them live, so obviously they study them or they do the dissection. I'm assuming.
Well,
a little
the
bit of,
University of Calgary uses them for sleep apnea
Oh.
and stem cell.
Really?
Yeah. So I always tell people this is that what happens with the tadpole is when it's morphing into a frog,
Okay.
at a certain point, the brain
Mhm.
is comparable to, I always say the male brain, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
It's comparable to the human brain at a certain stage where they can do their research.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's obviously, and that's the tadpole side
That's
of
the
it.
tadpoles. And actually, where I send them to at the university is
Mhm.
where they actually or invented the sleep apnea mask.
Come
The
on.
same lab.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So that blows my mind. I mean, I never even knew that. Never even would have made the connection. But how fascinating is that? Is there other, uses for it, or have you heard of any other research pieces?
I don't know what the University of Laval's using them for.
Mhm.
This is way above biology 12
Okay.
for me.
Okay.
Um,
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
yeah, but they don't like them with the legs.
They don't like them with the legs.
No, they want the smaller tadpole that doesn't have any legs on them.
Okay. All right. And you mentioned it takes 3 years for them to get fully developed. So how
Yeah.
long would it take for them to get legs? I'm curious. What's that time window usually?
These ones here with the legs, they're just finishing. They're off their second year.
Wow.
So they're going to be frogs in the spring. Well, they should be frogs in the spring.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. You say you got a lot of them at home right now. So how many are we talking about? Do you have some full size and then also a bunch of these at home right now?
I've got about 400.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to need some space for all of those.
Well,
I
I've
guess,
got
right?
big tanks. They're about 4 feet deep and 5
Okay.
feet across. So.
Okay. What about next steps? Anything? Is there? You mentioned this. You want to get into the schools again. You have any future plans for anything? Maybe more animals that you want to cull?
No. No. No, I don't have time.
Oh yes, who has the time, right? No kidding. Well, Nancy, thanks so much for coming. This is fascinating stuff. I can't stop looking at this jar of tadpoles just swarming around in there, and I think it's fantastic. I really appreciate you coming down, talking to us about what you do outside of here in the district. And I commend you for doing this. This started out as something you just wanted to go find, and now all of a sudden you've got this other job out there for you. So congratulations. Yes.
Yeah, well, it was nice because I got to spend a lot of one-on-one with my son.
Yes, that's right. Now you're working on the grandson.
And now I'm working on the grandson.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that maybe we missed about anything? Any fun facts about what we're looking at right here?
I don't think so. They're just very interesting. I could talk about frogs all day long, so it's just...
I bet you can.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Lots of people are interested in them and what I do, and it's pretty unique.
I love it. Good stuff. Well, thanks again so much for coming. This has been an episode of NLPS Ed Talks. Have yourself a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.